I'm Ravi, I'm a lecturer at City St George's, but I'm an optometrist as well. I primarily teach contact lenses. It's the first contact lens module that students do. So it's back to basics of fitting contact lenses, how to fit soft lenses, how to fit rigid lenses. I've worked in education for 10 years. I've been a lecturer for the last 3.5. I think there's a lot of optometrists out there that probably would enjoy it. They just don't see themselves teaching. I wouldn't have thought I would have found my calling in teaching. I think there's a lot of enjoyment from not just teaching, but actually interacting with people with a similar mindset to yourself. You're in an environment where everyone's got the same mindset, everyone is staying ahead. All the staff members are generally really helpful. So if you're new coming into it, you actually can get that help straight away and settle in really easily. I think what's quite nice about it as an entry route, that option to become a visiting clinical tutor means you get a taster for it and you get an idea, actually, is it for you? I wouldn't say it's a 9 till 5 job. I normally get in for 8:30, start my day normally around 9 o'clock, and I should finish at 5, but it varies day to day. So some days I might be in for another half an hour, other days I might finish at 4. Typically 9 till 5, but it's Monday to Friday, which is the nicest thing. First off, as always, check emails. And if it's a teaching day, teaching can start at 9 o'clock and then normal sessions last a couple of hours or so. There might be some meetings with other people within the department, bit of lecture prep, bit of admin work, maybe a bit more teaching. It's a nice day because it's varied. I'm not stuck in front of a screen. When I first started, I thought, right, term time's going to be busy. That's 24 weeks of the year. Outside of that, it's going to be, quite different, quite relaxed, but actually it still stays quite busy. You've got marking for exams, you've got boards and things like that, lots of prep work. A lot of it is the processes. So evaluate what's happened before. Is there things we want to change, anything that needs to change? Take on back feedback. I work with lots of visiting clinical tutors. What do they find works for them? What doesn't? What can we change? So my day today is, I had a meeting this morning at 9 o'clock, about half an hour, catch up with somebody, sort of more planning for next year. I've got a bit of marking to do, and then I've got a teaching session with some nursing students rather than optometry students. It's a postgraduate course they do, and as part of it, they've got to have a session on basic eye examination. So it's really just about them being able to understand what are the red flags from a history and symptoms, looking at the back of the eye, shining when I look for the consensual, heat on the other eye, and then do the swinging RAPDI check at that point. I completed pre-reg, stayed on as a resident there. At 2 years, I was getting I wanted to change. I'd grown as much as I could in that practice, and then I got given the opportunity to sort of emergency supervisor pre-reg for a period as they'd had trouble in their own store. So I was doing that once a week. I did a lot of training within the store, and I thought, actually, it's maybe something worth looking into. And a friend of mine was actually working for the university at the time, so I ended up just contacting him and saying, if a role opens up, can you let me know? I actually entered as a visiting clinical tutor, so I used to come in between 1 and 4 days a week, used to supervise within the 2nd and 3rd year clinics. Before I started, my thought was it's going to be quite tough. But actually it comes down to, we know more than the student does. That's the best advice I got given. At the end of the day, you know more than them. They won't ask you a question that you don't know. The day-to-day interaction with students is actually the bit that I enjoy the most. Something as an optometrist we all do naturally is build rapport with patients. So I'm the type of person that would like to have a laugh with them, have a joke with them, break that barrier between I'm your lecturer and you're a student to, I am your lecturer, but actually I'm an optometrist. I'm very similar to you, and that sort of eases the tension. I feel more approachable at that point, that they can come speak to me. Yeah. If you hold it so far away, you're shining light into both eyes, so you don't know which one's reacting or not. So if you hold it closer, and I always do it from the bottom, I can see definitely what's going on at that point. Okay. There is an imposter syndrome part of it. And I think a lot of that comes from, traditionally, you think of professors and you think of these academics who've been researching for so long, and you think of all the knowledge they've got, and then I come in who's just come off from high street practice, come into education, work my way up, but I think, do I know the same amount that they do? But actually, when you speak to all of the more experienced people, you realise actually you've just got as much to contribute as they do. I still get slightly nervous at the start of each lecture. Give it 30 seconds to a minute, that all goes, and you're talking about stuff you know. Nice thing is, people that are there probably want to be there. Seems like it's a penetrating injury. Is there any metal involved? Drilling, chiselling or hammering at that point. Reason that's important is that if a foreign body's in the eye, it's not removed quickly, it can leave a little rust ring behind. So the most satisfying part of it sounds a bit cliched, but it's seeing that student progress of where they start to where they finish. Not just in terms of their clinical changes and what they've learned, but actually their confidence that a lot of them picked up from the start to the end. In my 7 years that I did before I became a lecturer, I ended up teaching first year, second year, third year throughout. So I've seen some that have gone from the very beginning to right up to the end of graduation. So you get to see that progress, and actually you don't notice it on a day-to-day, but actually when you go start the next year and you get the next batch in, you realise actually where did they start and where did the last lot finish. I'd say the most challenging part is actually your organisation of prioritising what needs to be done, knowing that your to-do list doesn't shrink. As soon as you finish something, something else will come up. It's not like high street practice where you've got patients to see. But I think the definition of a lecture is probably changing slightly in that it traditionally was research based, whereas I think there's now a shift to recognising clinical experience just as much.